Okay, so for the second part of the lesson, this isn't something that I do with my young students. This is something I do myself. However, if you're doing this activity with older students, there's no reason why they couldn't bring their 2D diagram into Photoshop like I have and then follow along with the same steps. Basically, all you're doing is you're extruding this layer. And if you go up to the 3D menu, you'll see an option that says New 3D Extrusion from Selected Layer. So I'm going to click on that, and I get this warning message, and sometimes you will get this, sometimes you won't. Apparently my crude drawing is enough to call it complex, but basically it's saying it's too complex. The path around it is too complex, and it can't do it. Now there is a solution to this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to control-click the layer so that there's a selection of the marching ants around my image here, and then I'm going to invert it. I'll go to Select, Invert, Inverse. So now the back, basically everything else apart from the fairy has been selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feather that selection. So I'll go to Select again, and I'll go to Modify, and I'll go to Feather. And you can do it by 1 or 2 or 3. I'm just going to do it by 3, and I'll press OK. Now, nothing's really happened yet, but what you need to do is press the Delete button. I'll press that. And you can see what's happened. I'll just press Control D to deselect. It's basically fuzzied up the edges. Now, for me, I would think that would be harder to make a 3D extrusion from, but apparently it's not. Apparently that makes it easier. Let's try it again. 3D and New 3D Extrusion from Selected Layer. Now, it might take a few seconds, but it will move off to the 3D workspace. So the panels here have changed. And as I use my mouse here to rotate around the y-axis, which is around here, you can see this is what it looks like. Now, that's beautiful, except it's way too thick. So we need to do something about that. Now, over here in the options, over here in the properties, we're on the mesh section here, and there is right here extrusion depth. And right now it's at 24 centimeters, which is way too much. 1 centimeter is more than enough. So I'll just press in 1 and press enter. And now when I rotate on the y-axis, let's have a look. There we go. That's pretty much what I wanted to get done. So that looks pretty good. And you can go off and you could export that. So we'll go to 3D and we'll go to Export 3D Layer. And here you can choose what format that you use. I generally, for this project, I would use STL. There's no color or texture on this that makes any difference, so STL is more than fine. Just make sure though that you should be set here onto, mine was 1 centimeter for the depth here. I'll press OK and save it as I need to. Now, it's supposed to be a pendant. So really what you probably would want is some sort of loop or some sort of hook to go in the middle here. What I tend to do, and it's not perfect, is I sort of drill a hole. And then the kids can thread, when it's printed, they can thread through some string. Let's do that. Let's go to the history panel over here and go right back to the beginning of the project. And I'll go forward a few steps. Actually, no, I won't. I'll drill the hole right now. I'll just use the marquee, go to ellipse, and I'll hold down the shift button so I get a nice perfect circle, and I'll just draw out a circle like that. That's plenty big enough. And I can go inside it and move it as I need to. And then I'll just press the delete button. There we go. I'll deselect that. And now I'm just going to have to do what I did before, which was, let's go back to layers, control click it, inverse it, feather it. Where's feather? Modify feather. Press delete, deselect, and then go to 3D extrusion. And change this to 1 centimeter. There we go, that's how it looks. Now I should say that when you change it to 1 centimeter, that's not necessarily how it saves. That's why I had to change the properties when I did that. So that's how it looks with a hole drilled through it. And when I go to export it, I do still need to change the Z dimension, which is the depth, to 1 as well when I save it. Okay, so that's it. That's how you do it. That is how you change a simple two-dimensional sketch or drawing that was filled in on the iPad, bring it over to Photoshop, convert it to a 3D object, and you convert it to something that's ready to print. So thanks for listening.